Let's talk a little bit about stuff going on with the Saints. So obviously, last year 9-8, missed the playoffs, but you guys got a lot of new stuff happening because Clint Kubiak is
Yep.
coming in as a new OC. Obviously, his dad Gary and the Mike Shanahan offense is something that's worked in the NFL for many years. Tell us how excited you are about that change because it's going to be a pretty different, I would assume.
It is. It's going to be very different. But I feel like with our skill set and the players that we have from our quarterback room to the running backs to the O line, tight ends, receivers, I think it fits what we do. I think it fits what we have, and I think it's a really exciting time for us. And obviously, last year was exciting. We thought we would play the last part of the season, the first part of the season like we did the last part of the season. We thought it was going to be like that the whole time, but it took us more time than we thought to get to know each other and to grow. But we went through a lot of obstacles, a lot of things. We went like this as a team. We're so close this year. And, I'm very excited about having that. Also with Clint coming in and his staff, about adding that part of, what we've already built in chemistry and the team unity in that aspect. So it's an exciting time for us, and can't wait till, April to, middle of April to get to work.
And when I was reading a stat said last year the Saints were the last team in terms of you had 77 play action plays drawn up actually. And when you see that in terms of that's the lowest in the league, is that something that you're registering throughout the season, or is it one of those and you're like as a team leader, as a QB, you want to say, hey, we got to implement some of these things, or is it one of those things that just gets lost in Sunday football?
No, I think the last 5, 6 games, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but last 5, 6 games was probably where a majority of those play actions came from. And we started playing our best football. And so I just think it helps the O line. It helps those guys that, they don't have to pass set and try and block these amazing, athletes on the defensive line, just in a pass set formation and pass set, type of down and distance. And I think if you can run the ball efficiently and be able to play action, I think it makes it really hard on defenses because it all looks the same until about 2 seconds into the play. And I think that makes it very hard. And so I'm really excited about it, and Clint, Kubiak and, his family and his, lineage and, the whole scheme, has been very successful at this kind of system. And so I'm excited about it.
What's the biggest thing you learned about yourself? You're drafted into the league, and then in 2014, and then you're with the Raiders all these years, and then you have to make an adjustment, go to the NFC, and you got to play for a new city and new organization. What were the things you learned about yourself as you're reflecting now at the end of the season and the off season?
Yeah, that was the first for me. I had been with one organization, for almost a decade. And so going into a new place, obviously, and rightfully so, man, I was trying to take care of my family, make sure we had school was good, the church was good. My wife has, things she needs to do and friends and all this kind of stuff. And that took longer than we thought, like just trying to figure out the way of life and trying to do all those things. And I actually felt like it was a disservice to my teammates, because I felt I was spending so much time trying to make sure that they're okay, which I would do again. I'm taking care of my family, but you learn through that process while, doing things with the teammates and all that kind of stuff. Once time was freeing up and stuff like that, man, I was going to dinners. We were doing this. We were getting to know each other. We were doing, in, more than just the hours that were allotted, and,
Right.
and I found out that, that right there is the glue for any team. And so the last half of the year, we were doing that so much, and it showed in our play and it showed in our brotherhood, in the way that we cared about one another. So I'm excited that we have all those things already set up, for the family. That there's going to be a lot of sacrifice that I'll be making for my teammates, and that time and just making up that time and building those relationships.
It's a cool thing. A few last questions. One, you were a second round pick. Your brother, obviously a top pick. A lot of QBs in this year's upcoming draft, guys like Caleb, JJ McCarthy, Penix, Jaden, all these different guys, Drake May. What have you learned? If they were going to give you a phone call and say, hey, Derek, you've been doing this a long time. You're a 4-time Pro Bowler. You know how to play in this league at a high level consistently. What advice would you give us? What would you tell them knowing what you know now if you were entering the league?
Yeah, I would say, 2 things. One is you got to trust the process. It's, when it's early on, go out there and just cut it loose. I mean, cut it loose. Figure out what you can get away with. Try your best to read the coverages. Try your best to see it because they're going to be fooled. They're going to be disguised. You saw last year with Houston, they did a fantastic job with CJ of running the football, giving him play actions, easy reads, and then when he had to drop back, the percentage of how many times he had to drop back and make a crazy throw or anything was lower because of the way they played. And I think that helped him get introduced to the game. And I think CJ can do it all. I think he can drop back 100 times and throw the ball. But I thought they did a great job of letting him learn the process of the NFL game behind a great offensive line and a run game. Then you saw as the season went on, they started trusting him with more dropbacks. They started trusting him with more deep shots and all this kind of stuff. And you saw him flourish because of the process that he went through. So trusting that process of, hey, you may not have all the keys at once, but you saw a perfect example with CJ last year, who I think the world of. They slowed him into it, and then boom, it just took off. And the sky's the limit for them now because his confidence is all time high. They know what they have and all that kind of stuff.
So do you think is that more setting him up for success? Was it more of that success he had in his rookie season? Was it more about him, or was it more about the circumstances and how they set him up for success, or is it a combo?
It's definitely a combo, but he's still got to go make the throws. Don't get me wrong. He's got to go make the throws. He's got to make the reads, and he did it. For me, my rookie year, we didn't have, early on in the season, the best run game. So my offensive player was like, "Look, man, we're going to drop back," and he would tell me, "Just cut it loose, man." He's like, "If you make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just cut it loose." And so it's a combination of both. It could be, you have a really good this or a really good that, and I felt like he handled everything so perfectly, not turning the ball over as a rookie, not, forcing bad decisions. And I thought he did so good last year. And I think that it was a combination of him just being a great player and them realizing he's great, but let's ease him into it at the beginning.
And when you say cut it loose, because I think that's a great point, you're saying you think a lot of guys come into the league timid. They're scared to go for it. They're scared to really just let it all out there. Is it one of those things because the pressure, the pressure to each thing is nitpicked so much. Each throw means so much more in every moment. So you think cutting it loose just means go out there and do your thing and let loose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go cut it loose and have fun. There's so much pressure already. You're going to put the work in. These rookies, they're going to get coached really hard. They're going to be asked to do things that sometimes they haven't done before, and all those things in the NFL game is so much different than college. It's really hard for these evaluators to evaluate the college game because a lot of it's just RPOs, and there's so much more than that. And the separation of receivers to DBs, the windows go like this, and so there's so much more. But I just tell them, man, cut it loose, especially in practice. Figure out, man, it's cover one, figure out if you can rip that shot in there, figure out if you can throw that ball, figure out that's the time to figure that stuff out is when you're young, because when you're older, when you're trying to do that stuff, now there's a problem, right? Now there's something wrong. If you do it when you're young, they're like, okay, we see the promise, we see what he's capable of, and they can coach off that. So cutting it loose. And it's not that people would be scared. It's just you don't want to put your team in a bad position when you're young. You're the young guy. You don't want to hurt the veteran's chance of winning and get into the playoffs. And so sometimes that goes into your decision making. But if you just go out there and cut it loose and let it rip, and you have a coach that freely trusts you to do that, the sky's the limit for you.
And if you were a GM, you're the exec, who would you take? Who's your favorite QB out of this rookie class coming into the league? Is it evident to you, the number one guy?
That's tough. I don't know if it's just clear cut. Just watching college football, it's hard to say with college football because I could run around and scramble and do things in college football that's really tough to do in the NFL game. The throwing on time. When the first read's there, second read is there. Getting the ball out on time. It's hard to see that in the college game because the pass rush is different. A lot of things are different, and so. For me, I don't know. Caleb is a crazy talent. You look at him and you're like, he makes some of these throws and it's just really fun to watch. And Drake is a big body. He's an athlete that people don't give him enough credit for. He can throw it. You got Jaden from Louisiana, and I think he's unbelievable. I just love him. I love watching him play. Me and my boys, we were rooting for him every Saturday. This past year, being in Louisiana, they love LSU right now, so we were rooting for him. And You got Penix, you got JJ, who's a winner. He's tough. He runs, he can throw. He's very accurate. There's so many. If I don't name somebody, they're going to be upset. So I'm going to stop naming them. But there's so many good talents. But everyone's going to have a chance if they want a quarterback. You got 5, 6 guys that can all go in the first round in the top 15 picks, which is crazy this year. So it's going to be interesting.
All right. And lastly, your golf buddy, Devontae, what has he said about, the new way here with the Raiders, with Antonio Pierce kind of at the helm? And what have you heard from him in, friendly conversations just about some of those changes and how he feels about Coach Pierce?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously won't speak too much for him, but for me, I was around Antonio that last year, and I loved him. Oh my goodness, my brother played with him in New York. He told me, "Dude, you're gonna love him," and he was great around the guys. He was. You could feel that he understood what it meant to be a player. You could feel he understood what it was like, and he understood when it was hard and how to push you, how to motivate you, even when it was hard, because he understood, he lived it. And talking to Tay loves him. Tay absolutely loves him, and it'd be hard to find one person in that building that doesn't love Antonio. He's perfect for the Raiders. If I was still there, I would love to play for him. Because he's a great leader. He's going to let you be you. He's going to let you cut it loose and be the player that you want to be, while also holding you to a standard that it takes to win. And so I think he has a good feel for this generation of player it's just different, and I think he has a great feel for that.
Awesome. All right. Anything else you want to say about the Players Challenge? What's happened this weekend? Anything else?
Oh man, I just hope we hit them straight. That's it. I don't want to shank one and hit anybody. That's all I care about.
I bet. Hey, that ball will be worth a lot of money if that even happens. So it's a win-win. Thank you so much, Derek, for spending some time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good luck this season. Thank you, man.
Bye. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you.